Let's call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. We're going to start with a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Sunshine Law notice. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, public meetings may be held in person or by means of communication equipment to include streaming services and other online meeting platforms. This meeting is being held in person and through the Zoom meeting platform, being broadcast from Borough Hall, 748 River Road, Fairhaven, New Jersey. Public participation for this regular council meeting of June 24, 2024 is available by call-in phone number or through web conference Zoom. Members of the public will be on mute until it is time for questions or comments, which will be announced. At that time, the public has the opportunity to question or comment by phone or through Zoom by the raise hand button and will be called on at the appropriate time. Including the scheduled meetings, which was adopted by resolution number 2024-13 and sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times on January 4th, 2024, posted on the Borough website, the Bulletin Board and Municipal Building, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. With adequate notice having been given, the Borough Clerk is directed to include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. Allison, may I please have a roll call?
Council members Cole?
Yes.
Demaselli?
Yes.
Hoey?
Yes.
Koch?
Yes.
La Barbera?
Yes.
Olson? We have Administrator Casagran, Attorney Sobel, CFO Britton, and incoming Administrator Christopher Freeman.
Okay, thank you. All right, little pomp and circumstance on here. Wow. February 1st, 2011. Teresa, so I'm gonna keep it brief. I don't know how you did it, truthfully. The scope and the details and what we 13 and a half years? 13 and a half years. I'm not even at 3 years, and sometimes my head's gonna explode. And the amount of information and projects and just complicated tasks that came your way, and you did it with professionalism and grace. And I think the entire borough is so thankful and indebted to your service. And I see your career in three huge moments. One, obviously, helping us guide the borough of Fairhaven through Hurricane Sandy. I mean, you know, I was not even close to my role. I don't know what was going on, but I can't even imagine. The second phase, I think, of your time with Borough of Fairhaven was COVID. Again, I got the very tail end of the COVID, and that was a lot. I can't imagine what it must have been like at the very beginning when, you know, it was much more complicated, obviously. And then the third part is she had to deal with a mayor that had no experience whatsoever and act like he somewhat knew what he was doing. And that I put that with the other two tabs as well. I have a proclamation here I'd like to read. And if you could, I'd like you to join me. Is Jean?
Yeah, is there better happen than
Join me. And I think we all thank you for allowing her to spend so much time with us as well. I'm sure it wasn't easy for you. So this is your proclamation honoring your time as borough administrator. Whereas Teresa S. Casagrande began her tenure with the Borough of Fairhaven on February 1st, 2011. And whereas Teresa has been a vital part of the community, offering her time and talent as administrator for the Borough of Fairhaven. And whereas during her tenure, she successfully led the borough's employees and residents through major events such as Superstorm Sandy and the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the Borough of Fairhaven governing body, borough staff, boards and commissions and volunteers enlist the logic, wisdom, and invaluable experience Teresa Casagrande has contributed to everything she has been involved with. And whereas Very few people realize what a tremendous responsibility it is to lead and manage a municipality. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Fairhaven that extends its deep appreciation and gratitude to Teresa Casagrande for her selfless public service to help make Fairhaven a great place to live, and wish in turn her family many years of health and happiness. I think we all want to hear a few words from Teresa, but before we do that, I just want to say for the first time in 3 years, the key to the city
No.
is going to be given to Teresa. It's very well done.
Yes. I just want to say, first of all, I want to thank my family, my extended family, this is just a small part of them. And some of my dear friends are here too. I'm very blessed to have such a wonderful family and so many wonderful friends. It's a big part of why I'm retiring, so I spend a lot of good times with them. Start with my husband, my children. I've had an amazing career, and I could never have done it without their love of sport. I will say that I respect every member of the governing body I've ever served with for the time they've given to this community in a volunteer capacity. People have no idea what it takes to sit on a governing body and to give your time and dedication to a community. I would hope to think that my time here has served the borough well. I know it's a very different community today than when I walked in 2011. There's many things I'm proud of. This was a great posting for me, a great way to spend my 13 and a half years of my career. I was very active here and on the state level, and it was really very rewarding. I have an unbelievable staff here. I'm proud of many of them I hired myself, with the exception of Rich and Allison. And they do amazing things. It's a very small staff, but they're extremely dedicated, hardworking, and they really serve this community well. I think so highly of the residents of Fairhaven, all of our volunteers that make this community run so well. My sister-in-law Helen's here. She's been here. She lived in Fairhaven probably more than 50 years, if I was guessing. 47. And we raised our children together, and they were contemporaries. And when they were young, I remember so much admiring when she would tell me all that was going on in Fairhaven. And I thought, what a great community, you know, at the time, never knowing that I would end up here and work here. So, you know, it's really been my honor and my distinction. I hope to be invited back for the ribbon cuttings on the facilities. And when you dedicate 21 Fairhaven Road, the purchase of those 2 riverfront properties meant a lot to me, because they'll be here long after all of us are gone to serve the future residents of this borough. I thank everyone for coming tonight, and I couldn't be more blessed and more honored.
It's a nice thing. Teresa, you want to bring your family and friends up for a picture before we get going here?
That, you know, the front page of the.
Alright.
I feel like it's.
Okay, we're now gonna move towards workshop session, tree appeal from 65 Harvard Road. Are sorry, I gotta get a name here.
Sorry, Sparrow.
No, the Canes, so the Canes in attendance. You guys can stand up if you don't mind. We all got a packet here of information. It sounds like, you're asking, for an appeal on, that the tree was an oak, is that accurate? On an oak that's in your yard. You guys, before we start discussing, is there anything else you want to share that's outside of your letter?
Yeah, I guess just real quick, we're not doing this like, you know, we moved here and back to Perry in 2002. Tree was there, we still have a swing attached to it that the kids used to play in. You know, like that memories of the kids taking ladders to get a better swing, I remember ladder to ride it. We really like the tree, but over the years, it's fallen apart, you know, branches are dying and branches are falling, and they're falling, big branches are falling. We've had branches this width, this high, it's nailed in the ground. We've got dogs and our kids running around. The perfect case is yesterday, in the storm, we were gonna hang in the garage and just was running rain, but we were afraid of some danger from the tree falling. We've been told we can prune it, we've done that in the past. I don't wanna have to go cycle every few years pruning it, you know, wait to get scared, think it's gonna fall, prune it. We reached out to, a tree company a few years back, and said, you know, we wanna get rid of it, when we got an estimate, never came back to them because we're reluctantly doing this. If we are in fear of branches coming down and the tree coming down, it's already over our power line. We're out of power right now, which is a few minutes ago because of trees in the woods. It's fallen on our neighbor's yard. It's a scary situation to us, even though we're told it's healthy. It's from what we see and what we've experienced, we disagree.
So before other members of the governing body have questions, I have two myself. My first one is, I understand what the ordinance would call for, but what would you plan on planting if you did take the tree down?
We're gonna have a landscaper come in, because there's some bushes that we wanna get rid of. Either put a tree there, we have a neighbor's tree that's right there, they're sort of impinging on each other. We'll put in something, just because otherwise we just have a fence there.
Are you looking to put up one new tree? Are you looking to put up multiple trees? I'm just trying to get an
I
idea.
think at least one that, we'll just with the landscaper says.
I would say, yeah, we also be back to the part of the bird sanctuary, so we have so many trees coming in over the wires there now in per yard. So there's really, we don't have a large yard, it's a very small yard.
My other question is, you mentioned in your letter here that you had Frontier and Brummer come out and look at the tree, and both of them said that it was hazardous, outgrown its space. Did they file a report for you? Did they present a report?
We did a report based on rumors, Frontier was the one that we never followed through with.
Okay, and then the Brummer report, I thought I saw the application. Did you get an actual report from them?
No,
You didn't get a report. They just told you this tree.
exactly.
Okay, those are my questions. Anyone else have any questions here?
I have a question. Are you comfortable with replacing the tree? Should you be granted the variance to take the tree down with what was suggested? That's not a problem.
No,
Something, I mean, probably not another oak tree that's going to get as tall as this one is and take over the property, but we definitely replace it with
and
something.
maybe move it so it's not worried of flooding on neighbors, so the branches are going through each other right now.
I did get a chance to go drive by there and take a look at your tree. It is a very nice, mature oak tree. I understand why our ordinance protects it. It's technically a protected tree because of the species and the maturity of it. I have to say, there's not a lot of information to support removing the tree. The data and analysis that we were given suggests that the tree pruned regularly will continue to thrive and do well. Absent any findings that suggest that it is potentially doing harm, I have a hard time supporting an appeal. The tree expert who prepared the report doesn't recommend removing the tree, because that's not her role either. She tells us that if the tree is healthy or hazardous. The recommendation would be to offset a removal of this magnitude with a 4-inch caliper tree. And I don't know how familiar you are with that. That's a pretty big tree. So in certain times of year, we're going to plant a 4-inch caliper tree, not July and August. But I'd like to hear the rest of the discussion from my colleagues. There's not a lot of information or findings to support removal.
So I just have two things about, so if you can see, you can't see from the road where you probably looked at it, if you look at the back of it, there's very few branches off the back of the tree, they're all on the front and one side. So everything, this river falls, it's going into houses. The other thing is we did prune it about 6 years ago significantly. We're back in the same situation. It becomes a financial thing too, you know, removal our codes are about 4,500 to 58, to prune it, it's like 4,000 to 45. And we're doing this every, you know, few years. It's reached a point where it's just not really doable. And I'm not sure, and I don't know how liability insurance works, but if the appeal is denied and the branch falls on us, on furniture, a dog, you know, who's liable?
We are not running here to
Well,
get.
no, don't worry about liability for the borough's sake, because it's a protected tree. I mean, you know, frankly, I think it should be tabled. The report by Sherry is 2-3 sentences. I know she's not available. She was called to a last minute land use meeting. So I would ask that the appeal be tabled for just until the next council meeting, and so that Sherry can be present as well.
Well, Kristen hasn't had an opportunity to speak.
Just give him my advice.
Yep, thank you.
2 questions. If you were given approval to take the tree down, what's the timeline on the landscaper coming?
We haven't even got to that part yet, because we weren't sure the status is up in the air. I mean, we don't want to have just a big space of nothing there. We want to get that.
Based on, I went to look at the tree yesterday and then I hear your point. I also spoke with the new council liaison who's not here on what the philosophy is around the new shade tree ordinance, which is to say that the goal of the new ordinance I'm just saying that it doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree with it, the goal and the philosophy of the new ordinance supports taking the tree down. And so, can I speak?
Yeah, but I want to know.
And so therefore, I would be supportive of taking the tree down as long as we are guaranteeing that you're putting up a new tree in a timeline that is reasonable. So I'd like a guarantee that you're going to be planting a new tree within a reasonable amount of time.
That's not.
No, but I'd like it before I grant the request is what I'm saying, but per Attorney Sobel's suggestion, perhaps it's gonna take close to the next meeting.
Sure, I mean, I don't know what timeline you're looking at. I mean, if you make the date certain.
So kind of to piggyback a little, question first. What about the new philosophy in the new ordinance, or what about the philosophy that hasn't been approved by us yet? Says advocates for taking the tree down.
I can answer that.
Okay,
So I've learned over time, this is a perfect case for it. That at a certain point, someone wants to take the tree down. They're scared for their family, they're scared for their property. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna sit up here and say you can't take your tree down. I'm gonna choose the potential loss of human life over and the potential property rights of the owner over the tree. I don't want to get rid of the tree. It looks like a beautiful tree, but at the end of the day, it's their property. If they're saying that they're scared, I lived there, the Hurricane Sandy, a tree fell on my house.
Yeah.
We were scared. We were scared forever. You know, we're still scared. I live on a street where I can't take the trees down. I have sycamores in front of my house. I can't take them down. So at a certain point, it's a losing battle. So from our standpoint, the way that we win is over time, we plant more trees than we take down. That's why my first question to them was how many trees, because if I heard that one tree was coming down and two trees were going up, that'd be something I would be really excited about.
Yeah.
Because over time, we want to build more trees than we have right now. What's the saying? The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago? You gotta start somewhere. So with the new philosophy, over time, we might have to
I
take.
have a little trouble with this.
Well, wait,
Yeah,
can I
they don't
can
exist
I just add to that?
Yeah.
What resonated with me the most is that the idea is almost like a succession plan, like you would have in a corporation.
Mhm.
Which is that we have young trees, we have medium trees, and we have old trees. We constantly have cycles of trees. And so instead of band-aiding old trees, where at a certain point, they're all gonna fall down, we constantly have cycles of trees that are growing. That's the idea. And
My
to me,
apologies
that
to make
makes a
this
lot of sense.
conversation clearly.
Right, so it
further.
doesn't, so to me, that made sense, and so therefore it supports taking the trees. That to me makes sense.
So we're. Without this new ordinance, and also just want to say, so it's still coming to us to make the decision.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm just, I
No,
know, just for
100%.
frame of
In
reference.
regards to what?
Well,
If we do
I'm
the tree
on
ordinance.
board with the trees still coming to the council.
Correct.
I feel like
Fine.
why are we made ultimately, I don't know that we are really.
Oh, no, hold on. I thought you were asking the question whether we're gonna make the decision on the ordinance.
Okay, no, that,
As
no,
far
no,
as
okay,
the appeal, I couldn't even answer that question
Okay.
because I haven't seen it.
right.
Yeah.
So, just after this storm, there's so many branches down everywhere. So my concern is. What do we do? I mean, there's like, we had huge branches fall down. My concern is the precedent that we're setting. I'm not saying no at all. I feel like this is gonna keep coming up. So then will everyone come to us, say a tree, and then we'll let them do, plant smaller
Yeah.
trees? Because ultimately, the big trees are the ones that absorb more water. We're having stormwater issues that'll all play into all of this. So if this is a one-off, fine, but is it a precedent? You know, like that's what we
I
have
think you've
to.
already said the president. I've been here 3 years. I'd say we've probably had 20 tree appeals. We've never turned it on a tree appeal. That's the point.
We've never.
It's
turned-
because, and I'll tell you why too, because I could mess up the brush and leaf schedule. I've used this before. I can mess up the brush and leaf schedule, I can sleep fine. I can mess up the garbage contract we've been discussing, I'll sleep fine. If their tree, after we say no, falls on a child and kills the child, I'll never sleep again.
I
So at the end of the
completely
day,
understand.
it's a losing battle.
Well, we did define the tree appeal for the Zelkova at the now BP station. They authorized, limited pruning, and it was called lion's tailing and destroyed the tree. So in that case, the applicant was here, not here till,
So we were better off taking the tree down, is that what you're saying?
no, we should always have the applicant present. We should always have our technical advisor, in this case, Shad, present. And frankly, if you ask me, and this conversation's gone a little sideways, sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
sorry.
But this body should not be hearing tree appeals. It's my opinion that the Shade Tree Commission should hear tree appeal.
Isn't that the new
Well,
ordinance
it's-
will redirect that.
I
It
think
doesn't
so.
exist
I haven't seen it
yet. Nobody has seen
I
it.
believe that's the
Yeah.
direction it's at.
So for
So-
now,
I mean, respectfully
It's up to us.
speaking, our borough attorney has said we should wait till the next meeting.
Would you like to make a motion?
I'm not gonna go against our borough attorney, he protects us, so I'll make a motion to move to the next meeting and we get the required information that's needed in order to move this forward.
Is there a
And maybe
second?
more guaranteed
Second.
from you guys.
All in favor?
I,
Anyone opposed? I apologize that you have to come back. We did think that, our tree expert was gonna be here tonight, but she had a last second call in. So when's the next meeting?
July.
And we'll have it on the agenda for July. Sorry. Appreciate you following the process.
Might want to take maybe a report too. It's a report from.
That could help. If Bremer would provide a report, that would be helpful.
Or Frontier.
Or Frontier.
Frontier, we're not using.
Okay. If Bremer could provide a report, that might be helpful as well.
Okay, very nice.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Good to
Good
see you.
luck.
Thank you. All right, next up is to amend the fee schedule. We're talking about potentially adding a recycling can tipping fee, which we don't currently have. And the discussion on, do we want to maintain the tipping fee for trash?
I could couldn't find it until you said that, and then I saw it
So,
underlined.
so just to elaborate a little bit, if for some reason if our appeal to the state falls on deaf ears and we're forced into a decision based on the appropriation cap, that would potentially lead to recycling being bi-weekly, which I think we communicated to the borough on many occasions at this point. In that scenario, we obviously don't want 1,500 different cans being requested by our residents to make up the difference. So the idea is to put some sort of fee on that. There's one on trash right now. Is it 300?
No, we increased it for, we get 100
How much is
to
it?
400.
So it's $400 for an additional trash can now. Right now, it's nothing for recycling. So the idea is to put a fee onto the recycling can. So that if we do have to move into that direction, only the people that absolutely need to have that second can will request it.
Hey, can we just double click for a minute?
I'd love to double click.
Love it.
Me too.
If, the first thing I wanna say is there are so many different variables associated with the trash and recycling, and if there's any questions, please reach out. We've had 2 open houses, and it's just, there's multiple layers. To echo what the mayor's saying, this is not a means to generate revenue. And correct me, Rich, Teresa, Nancy, the bid is based on the number of homes. And so if there's not a mechanism in place to prevent the, I'm gonna call it abuse of a second can, it could potentially skew the cost that comes back to the borough. So if we went, and there hasn't been a decision, we're waiting on the state. If we went to bi-weekly recycling, 2,200 homes in Fairhaven, and let's say 1,000 people wanted that second can for recycling, that would significantly impact how much it costs. And we're already, the current contract is 98% over what it was last time. Is that fair?
Aren't tipping fees outside of cap though?
That's that's the waste.
That's us paying.
Not outside of cap.
Waste is not cap.
And the purpose here is not to be punitive, and honestly, you know, you might even consider something higher than $400. You're saying to yourself that your tax base supports trash and recycling pickup. Cycling is no longer, you know, something we get revenue for, we pay to get rid of it. And, you know, if someone is in need of 2 cans, the tipping fees for that house are significantly higher than they are for a house that only has 1 can, and you're paying those tipping fees. So this is really trying to offset what the borough is gonna pay extra to get rid of the extra trash and recycling from someone that has 1 can versus someone that has 2 or 2
And
recycling.
also keep us from violating the contract, correct? Because they have
Well-
to pick up a certain number of cans.
But if you have, I'm not so sure $400 is gonna do that, but if you end up having 1,000 homes that want an extra can, your trash contractor is not going to pick up 1,000 extra.
Yeah, so how does that work? Because wouldn't we be violating it anyway?
1,000 homes are not gonna request an extra can if we put a fee on it.
But how is charging them offsetting? Because are they then, it's not offsetting the bid.
To me, it's not even about offsetting, it's about not violating the contract, it's a trash contract.
But are we giving them more money for it? Because are we then going to say now we have more cans to pick up? Do you, like, they're not gonna know.
That's, the idea, there's people right now that have more than 1 recycling can, that once we put the fee on, are probably gonna give that recycling can back. The goal is to kind of stay right where we are.
They pay for the recycling can, which is $55.
Yeah,
But
For
not,
trash, say trash can, they're both $55, and then it's a $400.
but we're trying to stay even. But we're changing our pickup, so the reason people are gonna want 2 is so they can put 2 out every other week, so. That's not changing. I don't think we're gonna be able to keep it even, because the need for that extra pickup isn't there, so they're
I
putting.
think there's people that have more than 1 can that don't use it. It was free. They, you know, they need it for a party, they brought in a second can and it's.
And we know who has the extra cans?
Give a list of those extra cans, don't we?
And, but.
Okay.
Bill,
we do for trash, I'm not so sure.
Not for recycling.
We don't have
I
recycling.
think it's important to discern if we have a second, what can be put in the cans and what could be put outside? Because now we're saying boxes can now be put outside, right? So
No,
people-
no, I'm not saying that at all.
Oh.
It was one of the options if we, in the next 6 months, until we have the recycling center, the trash company is willing to work with us.
Okay.
We're not even there yet. though.
Okay.
That's a totally
All right.
different conversation.
Okay.
Right.
And, I don't have a problem with charging for an extra recycling can. And I don't think, and I could be wrong, that we ever received any pushback on charging extra for a trash can. And I think people are reasonable. They know that if they're going to have this extra service. I think $400 is a minimal amount of money to spend over a 12-month period for the convenience of having that extra can. But again, residents have to realize we have an ordinance that prohibits those cans from being seen from the street. So they're big cans and people are gonna have to find a way to keep them hidden.
I have a question for the group. The $400, if we were to vote on that, are we gonna prorate it for the rest of this year? Are we waiting until January 1st? How would that work?
I would prorate it.
Prorate it and say, starting
Well,
July, are there any issues with that you?
No, it's no issues. I frankly don't think 400 is high enough. I'd make it 6, it would be, but that's up to you.
I think 400's all right. I think it's enough where if you don't absolutely need that can, it hurts a little bit to write that number. And that's really, we're not trying to raise money here. We're trying to make it, you know, for only the people that absolutely have to have it. That's what we're gonna do.
And if we find it's more expensive to have that extra
Then we
can,
can change.
we can adjust the rates.
Forgive me for not doing this, but we're getting more money for that. The borough will be obtaining, which is okay, but I still don't see how that changes how that fits in with the bid, because we're still going to, if more people get the cans, we're still gonna have more cans, so then we're breaking the contract either way.
And I think people are gonna give cans back.
But you're going on the idea that they're gonna do that. So what
Everything we
happens?
do here is on ideas. I mean, you know, I can't do a survey of every single person in the borough based on something that hasn't even been decided yet with the state.
It's hard to make a
We're just,
decision.
we're
based on
just,
no
we're
information.
just planning, and if the trash has a $400 number and it costs more to get rid of the recycling, why won't we do the same thing for the recycling?
Again, I'm not opposed to the $100, I just don't see how that helps the bid.
Rich, the delta, right, where we have 100 cans and then 20 people sign up for extra garbage, how's it done right now? If the garbage company goes around and has to assess how many extra cans are, correct?
Right now, it's not an issue. We have a little bit of breathing room in the number of units that we have in today. But to add to the conversation, if 500 homes ask for an extra recycling can, I would think our vendors are gonna come back and say, well, this is bid per unit, so $4 and change a unit and that. We're gonna want to get paid to dump that can.
Correct.
Because it's beneficial.
And the logic, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, the logic is we have a tipping fee, right now for trash only. And it's not being abused to have a second can to where it's causing issue with the trash company, correct?
It has not been an issue.
Okay, so with that logic and with that proven data in the last 5 years. We don't know if recycling is being abused or not because it's free to have an extra can, correct? So
Purchase the initial can.
$55.
$55, right? But recycling costs the borough more money to dispose of than garbage, right? So the thought process by adding the tipping fee for the recycling receptacle is to make sure that folks that truly require an extra bin have it. And we don't put ourselves in the position that when we do renew or redo or do the new contract, execute the new contract, that we don't run afoul, similar to how we not run afoul with trash, correct?
It is, but I still don't think it gets us out of that being a problem, but
But
it might.
wouldn't it be a bigger problem if we didn't do that? Is that why we're discussing it?
Well, I mean, there are other, so, you know, as the environmentalist that I am, I think that this might be a good time to also, as we're looking at everything, looking to composting and other ways to get rid of some of that waste, because that is bulk, that is weight that can be put somewhere else. So if we did some kind of composting thing or emphasize the need to compost, that could help us too. I think there are other ways to look at this. I'm not opposed to the charging and I want people to be able to get rid of things as they can. I just think there might be some alternatives to look at,
If they,
other ways to,
if they composted, we'd need less cans. That would be, the exact- so we'd be in the same exact situation, less people would be requesting the second can. If we compost.
Trash.
No, you're talking about composting cardboard, right?
well, you could do that. You could do a mix. You can compost cardboard, you can compost weight. you
But
can
if we're talking about
compost
composting waste, how does that help with recycling? Only the cardboard, right?
the
Or
cardboard. We
no
can
one, no
also-
one's recycling PLA, no one's recycling, you know, starch cutlery, that's not what we're
I
talking
think
about.
glass
It's-
does
it's
get-
plastic.
Anyway, I just think, yes, but
And you also may want to consider if you go with once a week trash all year long, as opposed to twice. You know, in the summer, you will most likely have more people wanting a second garbage can too.
I agree with that. I think at that point too, we can, like, Betsy said, we could pivot and raise that number if we have to. But it'll be the same exact discussion. It's setting the number at a level where it's uncomfortable for someone that doesn't need the extra can to get. That's all it is. It's not to raise revenue. It's not anything other than that, so that we can adhere to our contract. Good? Does someone want to make a motion?
Motion.
To what?
I'll make a motion that we, institute a fee of $400 for a second recycling.
Well, this is an ordinance, you're gonna have to introduce it.
It's not on there? All right, so we'll put it on in the next meeting? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you can introduce it the next meeting.
Is it, is everyone, are there objections, just so I can make sure that I have everyone's?
What do we, don't wanna get on myself, but what do we do with like the current recycling bins out there? If we don't have an inventory? Like, how do we go about
I thought she said we know how many.
Trash we have.
trash we have?
We don't know who is recycling out there?
No, we have.
We don't know, I mean, we scan in what we send to DPW for requests, but there's years and years and years worth that we don't know.
We don't need to solve it right now, Josh, I just wanna raise it, that maybe when we introduce the ordinance, we have to plan for it.
How is it requested then? Like,
They'll contact the main office.
Our request form.
so do we have all of those forms on file?
They go back
That's
to
why
our
we have some, but.
They only go
10
back a
years
certain
from
amount.
now,
Okay.
we'd have to-
The other thing we need to consider is we have to inventory how many extra cans we have. I don't know offhand, because we move them around projects. But if we only have 50 cans, now we're getting requests for additional cans.
Right.
Usually order trash and recycling cans basically by the tractor trailer. Shipping is so high.
Yep.
They come up from North Carolina, and the cost, I think the cost is most definitely gone up,
Definitely.
just to purchase those totes. And we have to go through the process and,
Yeah, we,
you know,
I think the last time we spent close to $20,000 on.
Can we find out in advance of the next meeting, how much it would cost right now if we had to run a new trailer worth of them up here, including the freight, and figure out what the per trash can cost would be, please? Good,
And we'll just touch on that, engineering, DPW, see what kind of. Chew it over later.
okay. Next up is Borough Hall lower roof. There's a resolution under the consent agenda to authorize a bid. I don't know if anyone wants to
You
talk
know,
about this.
I can certainly take it. I sent the bid specs and what we've got from our roofing professional. We've had issues with the lower Borough Hall roof for quite some time. We had significant leakage in my office, in the downstairs offices, in finance, Malay's bathroom. The guys have patched and patched and patched, and it's our roofing consultant's opinion that you need a new roof on that. The bid specs are ready, that they were designed by the roofing consultant. Rich can jump in here, but at the end of the day, they're not a PE, so Rich would have to sign them as a PE and put our front end on the bid to get it out to bid. That fair synopsis, Rich?
Yes.
Can we get a copy of the inspection report?
There wasn't a separate inspection report. I said that to Josh after the last meeting. He came in, he did the inspection, and what he did was he updated the bid specs as opposed to writing a separate report.
And why did that happen instead of preparing a summary of existing conditions?
Honestly, Tracy, I don't recall at the time. I don't know if that's just the scope of work he felt that we'd asked them for. I don't, honestly, I'd have to go back and look at old emails and refresh my memory. It had to be a couple of years ago.
Will you prepare a full report that you will deliver to the
Yeah,
next council meeting?
I'll send it. I can see Chris Young just jotting notes down.
Right on.
He's got it at the next meeting.
Was there any water anywhere when you guys got in on Monday or today from the storm? Not that that's a.
I
go,
didn't
no
see
go,
any
just
evidence of
wondering.
water from the storm
That's good.
today, but I didn't do a thorough inspection. I know it's not, wasn't my office.
Yeah.
I know we had water in Nick and
I didn't.
Joe
see
Mueller's
anything, Joe's.
office the other day.
I went down this morning.
Yeah.
And there was.
Guys were on the roof though.
It depends on which way the wind's blowing, I think.
Yeah,
They were on the roof taking the water off the roof though.
They were
Oh, yeah.
sweeping it off, the
Yeah.
puddles,
Oh,
they
they,
do it before and.
on a regular basis.
so we don't get water.
They walked, there was a
inside.
squeegee it off. The flat roof.
Because because it's a flat roof or because it's a failing flat roof?
It's a failing flat roof. If they didn't do that, it would be even
I
worse.
think we've got water inside. Didn't we have water in Joe Mueller's office?
Last
Well,
week,
yes.
they,
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, it's coming.
Are we getting a
I'm
new?
on.
Yeah.
Let's do it, totally. I just want to make sure that we're not, the new plan is not gonna be still an issue because it's still flat. Like, are there,
No.
we're not gonna run to this, it's just that it failed after overtime.
Anchor insulation and a.
Okay. We're not fine with it as long as.
Yeah, I'm
We're
on
not in
board.
the same position.
Those funds already set aside.
Already
right?
authorized.
So you have an ordinance that approves improvements of Borough Hall that you could.
Don't want to delay this maintenance.
Okay. All right, moving along, public comment on agenda items only. Please try to observe a 3-minute time limit. Please stand and identify yourself by clearly stating your name and address for the record. Is there anyone here that has a public comment on agenda items only? Only agenda items? No? Allison, is there anyone on Zoom?
no, sir.
Okay, moving along, approval of minutes, May 28th, regular meeting, executive session, June 11th, special meeting, executive session, June 19th, special meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Allison, may I please have a roll call?
Council members Cole,
Yes.
Pimaselli.
Yes.
Bowie,
Yes.
Hodge,
Yes.
Bob Rivera.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Anyone have any old business? No? All right, let's go to new business, consent agenda. We're talking about resolutions 2024-166 through 175. I do want to point out to the public here, we're going to save that pomp and circumstance for our next meeting, but let's give a quick welcome and a round of applause for the incoming Borough Administrator, Christopher York. Okay, before I ask for a vote here, is there any resolution that anyone wants separated?
Not separated, Mayor, but for 174, can you just double click, why we're extending and just give everybody just a quick update, 30 seconds?
Sure, so as discussed in the special meeting, of which we just approved those minutes. We were able to, ask our trash company if they were willing to go month to month. It provides us time, to get a more definitive answer from the state as to whether they can move, some of our expenses outside cap. That's what this is about. So, as soon as we get an answer from the state, we'll then obviously make a decision, based on what that new contract will look like. And, we appreciate the vendor work with us.
Can I add one thing? So it's a extension of the same contract, same services at the old price for 60, up to 60 days.
Up to 60 days.
And when you award the new 3-year or 5-year, will start from that point and still be the same.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other, comments or separations?
Negative.
Can I
Zoom?
actually, can I say something on that? I want to say, you guys are like, thank you for reaching out to the county. I think that you bought us some time on this really kind of big stressful decision. So thank you for doing that.
I'll make a motion to approve 2024-166 through 175.
Second,
Allison, may I please have a roll call?
Councilmember Paul.
Yes.
Pinisari.
Yes.
Poe.
Yes.
Hodge.
yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Okay, next up, department reports, May 2024. We got the tax collector, the police department, and the budget status. Is there anyone that has a motion to accept the reports as submitted, possibly with a thank you?
Motion with thank you.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we're at the good of the borough portion of the meeting. Please stand and identify yourself by clearly stating your name and address for the record. Please observe a time limit of 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the public with a good of the borough comment?
Council, my name is Elise, 263 Fairhaven Road. I'm here tonight to express my concern about speeding and pedestrian safety on Fairhaven Road. Yesterday afternoon, June 23rd, there was a hit and run accident right outside of my house, totaling both of my cars and almost potentially killing my daughter, husband, and her friends. This person appeared to be speeding. This also comes 30 days after another incident we've all witnessed on May 23rd, where we were in the front yard across the street of a neighbor's house, and another distracted driver, most likely speeding, slammed into a fire hydrant just feet away from where the kids and us were standing. I've lived there for 4 years, and since the day we moved in, I haven't felt safe. We see speeding every day, all day long. The first thing I did when we moved in, I put a perimeter spanning the entire front of the yard. And I have 2 very small kids, which makes it a constant, very scary situation. I've been in touch with Chief McGovern, who has been very cooperative. And I'm here tonight to request that a 4-way stop be added to the intersection of Dogwood, McCarter, and Fairhaven Road. I understand that work on the road is beginning shortly. And I'm requesting more signage, more sidewalks, more crosswalks, more stop signs, anything to help slow down the cars. I walk my kids to school there every day. Every single day we see people speeding. The lovely man at 3rd and Fairhaven Road, Sergio, there's not a day that goes by that he's not hollering and yelling at people. And some people just, they see him and they just keep going. They don't even, some people just don't even stop. Every day I see something. Yesterday was almost a very tragic situation, and I'm here to ask for your help. So sorry.
Well, thank you for coming in, and thank God that it wasn't a worse result. I had a few conversations on this today. Just want to let you know, we hear you. We are designing that road as we speak. The borough engineer just heard you as well. It's something we're going to talk about in more depth. The only one thing that you said there, which maybe Rich can clarify, I'm not sure stop signs can be used, or maybe it was the chief that told me that, I'm not sure stop signs can be used as a way to slow down traffic by NJDOT standards. Am I right on that, Rich?
Yes.
So
It can be used for other traffic situations.
when I spoke to Chief, it would be more of a pedestrian safety, like in the historic district.
I just want to be clear on record that, okay.
I'm
we're-
sorry, can you clarify the difference between that?
I couldn't, maybe the chief or Rich could.
So just the wording, but we still get a stop sign.
Well, I'm not the one making the safety recommendation. The chief is, along with the person that's designing the road to the standards, so they would make a recommendation to us, but I think they know the concern.
And I spoke with Chief today. He's 100% in to help support and do what we have to do. So appreciate you raising.
And there more sidewalks, crosswalks.
Please, I'm so sorry. This is the first time hearing about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to respond to what you shared. I saw the after effects and it was very, very, very scary. It's amazing what a car can do to 2 cars that were parked, honestly. So only 1 vehicle was moving, but it totaled 3 vehicles.
Which shows you how fast it was going.
He might have, I don't know if there was speeding. It sounds like, likely that there was. That we do know for sure that the driver was distracted. And distracted driving is dangerous driving and it's illegal. I did have a chance to talk with the chief today, who was out of town at a conference and wanted to be here. He's spoken obviously with families in the neighborhood. I know of those conversations because we've spent some time together today on it. And he's committed to working with communications to put together public service announcements about distracted driving, dangerous driving, and kind of connecting to people understand. Yes, you're only 2 blocks from your house, and it seems like a good idea to quick check directions or a text or, you know, adjust that thing that's over on the seat next to you. But when you take your eyes off the road, that's the moment when things can become dangerous. So he's planning on connecting with the communications committee to talk about what sort of public service announcements can go out along those lines.
And just so right, I want to protect all of us, right? It's an active investigation right now, so we can't speak to what may or may not have happened or anything like that. And I just want to say that to everybody up here.
And I wanted to add one more dimension to this, and Rich can flesh it out if you want, but a big part of the planning work that's been in place in Fairhaven is our pedestrian bicycle infrastructure, which over time gets implemented as road improvement projects occur. And the active transportation plan identified several traffic calming and pedestrian enhancement components for Fairhaven Road between River and Ridge. That will go a long way to alerting drivers to the presence of pedestrians. It doesn't solve everything, but it does help change the character of Fairhaven Road in a way that'll make it feel safer. And of course, curbs, sidewalks, street trees, all those things are information for drivers. They accuse them that they're not on some freeway or straightaway. But I personally just also want to say, I'm so sorry that happened. It was very scary, I'm sure. I'm glad everyone's okay.
And you mentioned bikes, and I'd like to pivot to one of the safety concern I have and make sure, and I think it's the same type of thing we need to get. It's something we're gonna have to address is the electric bikes.
Oh, absolutely.
It's out of control. So electric bikes and scooters, I'm letting parents know, if you're not out there watching your kid and you think that it's a safe situation right now, I've seen some things the last few weeks that are deeply concerning to me as the mayor. And I think it's a powder keg waiting to explode at this point. So please, if you have a child that has an electric bike or an electric scooter, please look into safety precautions, talk to your kids. They're flying around town. A lot of them don't have helmets on. And I think we have to have that same education as the distracted drivers as well. They're both.
It's within our realm.
That is the police department's focus newsletter for this upcoming month.
Perfect.
Beautiful. They're working on
Wow.
an ordinance.
I think they're working on.
Chief's
something.
working on an ordinance.
Yeah.
for the-
That's part of our training that we do.
Yes.
Hi, Andrea Panero, 33 William Street. So my husband Nicholas Panero. I just wanted to reiterate what Elise had shared. We were standing on the road waiting for Uber yesterday when this accident occurred. And my husband was actually struck by Elise's car, and thankfully the ambulance came and he's okay. It was extremely scary. And in addition to distracted driving and the electric bikes, I just felt I'm a mental health therapist. I know that there's an increase in drinking in the summer, and not saying that that was what had occurred yesterday, but we know that in addition to distracted driving, there's also, you know, there's should be additional education about using alcohol driving. So that could be helpful with the campaigns that are distracted drinking.
Yes.
Covering all the
approaches, yeah. So sorry.
Sorry, good, glad to see you standing here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep. Anyone else? Public, for the borough?
Caitlin Sullivan, 27 Robert. Not to use it for a phrase to beat a dead horse, but I think volume speaks, and it's my husband from Sullivan as well. More people that speak up, I think, just adds to the scariness of it. I will never forget Chief Casey's face when she ran terrified from the car. Was standing above him with his eyes closed, now worrying that he wasn't gonna wake up. And not knowing those things is heart-wrenching. And the fact I woke up this morning and I have no information. No, I didn't get a police phone call, I didn't get anything. It was just, oh, he sped, he was distracted. And I think what I'm trying to get at is that those that were impacted should also get information post something this traumatic. And to explain to our kids what happened with no answers, I'm giving the questions, well, mommy, he was speeding. Mommy, he did something illegal. Don't people that do illegal things get arrested? And my answer back is, they should, but I don't know. And of course, my intuitive 7-year-old just keeps asking questions. But I think the moral of the story is, we were fine, thank God. But if at least his car wasn't parked there, that took the impact of this driver, Frank, Nicholas, and Matt Casey would not be standing here today. They would be either in the hospital or they'd be in body bags. And that is just something that I cannot get over. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, what's that? Number one, interestingly, for both incidents, Elise mentioned, the one yesterday and the one exactly month before. The interesting thing, clearly, not 100% sure, but I was not witness for it, seeing both events. Both times, we think the cars were speeding. I didn't, see either one, but in both cases, the cars, a month ago, it ran over a fire hydrant, which was 1.5 feet off the road. Yesterday, before it hit Elise's car, it ran over a speed sign and a parking sign, which again, at least 1.5 feet off the road. Brushed that and then hit the car. Took a picture of that sign, which has since been replaced. What I thought was very interesting is there were skid marks on the sides from the car trying to slow down as it was. So it was, who knows how fast this guy was going, which is crazy to me to think that,
You got the sign in our person.
certainly nowhere near the speed limit and they're that far off the road, right? And so that's maybe, specific to Fairhaven Road, because that's a narrow road, but maybe even speaks even to the, even more powerfully for the need for somebody to speed or slow people down. The second thing I'll mention is, we live on McCarter, which is, perpendicular to Fairhaven Road. That thing's a straightaway. People, people treat it as such. It's not nearly as bad as Fairhaven Road, but we still get people just ripping down it because straightaway you can get some speed going and there's nothing to stop. So it's just scary. Thank you.
Can I respond to that? So 2 things, right? Heard on the design, and the second thing is the information. So Betsy and I chair the police liaison. So I'll agree to Chief of Government, see if we can, within the confines of an open investigation and all that, see if we can get some more information from you guys soonest. So.
That's a good.
Anyone else? Anyone else? No? Allison?
No one with their hand up.
I do.
Wait, Mark Olson, just.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good. I am just so encouraged to hear the mayor quote the ancient Chinese saying about the trees. I don't know, maybe something's going on there. I am super encouraged. That's great news. Let's keep planting trees. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else?
I just want to go on the record, Teresa, it's been an honor. Thank you for everything.
Anyone else?
Second that.
Me too.
And I just want to.
All in favor?
But also, I'm sorry to everyone who went through that yesterday. That's really scary. And, I hope we all can understand what's going on. Yeah, David.
With that being said, it's 8:04. We're going to move towards executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I've seen some gas guys.
Fairhaven, we have a special moment for you. For the first and last time banging the gavel, we thank her so much. Our borough administrator forever, Teresa Casagrande. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Say all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.